Time for the anti-Manchester United segment. Of course, a daily feature here on the show. 7 years to the day since they won the Premier League title. Since then, 15 points. That's how close they've been to winning the title. That was against Leicester back in the day. They have been appalling. Out of the title race consistently throughout. Mark Ogden, Don Hutchison with me to discuss this. Don, it's incredible really how that gap, how that chasm has been since Sir Alex Ferguson led them to that title 7 years ago.
Yeah, I mean, it is crazy when you're talking about a club the size of Man United, but I still have to remind you that Liverpool have gone 30 years before they're going to win the title. So it can happen, but take your mind back, and my memory of that 2012 season when they won the league is Fergie's side, or sides over the years before that, he was always doing rebuilds. He was rebuilding the size of the team, the quality in the squad, he was investing, and they always done a pretty good job. In that last year when they won the title, he snatched Robin van Persie from Arsenal because they lost the season before on goal difference. So it was almost an emergency fix, a very quick fix. And then Fergie left and David Moyes come in. And obviously we know the stories from there. And it just felt as though looking at United's squad, it was deteriorating, not badly, but it was just ebbing away from how good they were. The class of 92 was just starting to fade. People like Paul Scholes, I think, only played a handful of games, the same as Ryan Giggs. And they needed an injection of quality. And once David Moyes come through the door, unfortunately, he started looking at people like Leighton Baines and Marouane Fellaini instead of looking at the very, very top players that Man United should have been getting when Fergie left. So it all sort of spiraled into a huge decline. And I think only this season and towards the end of this season under Ole, I'm seeing a dressing room that's far more harmonious. It's a lot more together. It's younger. It's got a lot more hunger. It's got more desire. Some of the big names have gone. There's one or two, in my opinion, that should still go. But I can see signs now. But it's been an awful long time since the success of Fergie's days.
Mark, what's, I think, interesting in this case is the fact that when you look at big teams who have kind of struggled, likes of Milan, for example, they just didn't have the funds to compete with the big sides. That's never been the case for Manchester United. The funds have always been there. They have spent the money. It's where they've spent it that has really left them in this hole.
They've probably had too much money, really, because the money's always been used as a kind of an all-encapsulating solution. So rather than do what Liverpool did 4 or 5 years ago and deciding to go for players that had a point to prove or value players that, you know, for instance, Firmino, Salah, Mane, Andy Robertson, the types that Liverpool took a chance on. United never really had to do that. They've always had the money to go out and buy a Angel Di Maria or a Paul Pogba or a Romelu Lukaku. So they've not really had to try as hard as other teams in terms of, you know, being smart in the market and just doing what they, you know, what they should do and have a good scouting network. So the money has probably been United's Achilles heel. But one thing I do think has been overlooked at the times is that this started before Fergie left. This started in 2010, 2011 when he started planning for the future and brought in the likes of Phil Jones, Chris Smalling, Ashley Young, Javier Hernandez, players that have served United okay, but not of the calibre of the players that he brought in the past, Rio Ferdinand, Nemanja Vidic, Patrice Evra. The quality started to decline under Ferguson because Man City started spending big money. United thought that they could do it a different way, and time has proved that United did it the wrong way, and City had the value despite spending lots of money.
Mark, we know Don is an optimist. He's even calling that thing on his face a moustache at the moment. Let's go to you, though, for a bit of objectivity on Manchester United. I understand the excitement given what they've done on the pitch over the last couple of months, but is this all really a mirage with regard to the big picture?
It is too early to start saying that Solskjaer has turned a corner, because I remember at the end of January they lost 2-0 at home to Burnley, and you know that was straight after the game at Liverpool where they lost in kind of abject fashion, and the fans had turned against the Glazers, the owners, and it was quite a moody time. You know, they went to Tranmere in the FA Cup, and if they'd lost at Tranmere, you know, it would have been it could have been curtains for Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. But they won 6-0. Bruno Fernandes came in, and they won so they hadn't lost with Bruno Fernandes in the team. So Fernandes has kind of coincided with the upturn, but it's only 7 or 8 games. It's too early, and I think you talk about glass half full, half empty. Well, some fans will say that today's the 6-year anniversary since David Moyes was sacked, rather than talk about the 7-year anniversary since the title win. So there's a few ups and downs, and it depends how you look at it. But I do think that it is too early to say that Solskjaer's turned the corner. It needs a lot more than 8 or 9 games to prove that.
Mark, you're a man of the people, obviously. When you speak to United fans and you could give them one wish, one thing to change at the club, what would they demand? What would they want?
They want new owners. They want the Glazers gone, and they want new owners. But then sometimes it's better the devil you know, because at least with the Glazers, you know, they put money in, they have, you know, they've overseen a club that's won things, but they think that the owners, in tandem with Ed Woodward, the chief exec, haven't done the right things. But, you know, maybe we're seeing signs of promise that are light at the end of the tunnel. So perhaps that Ed Woodward might have got it right in the end, but that is the one thing that United fans will always say is the Glazers, for many reasons, but rather than on the pitch, it's off the pitch.
Finally, Dom, we had Danny Higginbottom on, obviously a staunch Manchester United fan, said, look, they're only 2 or 3 proper signings away from being title contenders next season. Where do you stand on that?
I'm not sure it's 2 or 3. I think it's a lot more than that. I think 2 or 3 to probably try and cement Manchester United back into a Champions League spot. Trying to get closer to Liverpool and Man City, in my opinion, is a very tough ask, and the United fans are going to have to be patient. And they're going to have to be patient in Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. He might not be the man that takes Man United back to a title. He might not lift the major honours under Manchester United, but what he's doing, he's building a very young squad, a hungry squad that can get them very, very close. Suggest, in my opinion, that 2 or 3 is the number to get them to a title. I think they're way off because, as I said, Liverpool will be spending big money when they return in the summer. So will Pep Guardiola's Man City. So they are already streets ahead of where Man U are. But in my opinion, I think they're going in the right direction.
Thank you very much, James. Just a reminder, Mark did a deep dive on where it's gone wrong for Manchester United over the last few years. This was published a few months ago. Still a lot of the points very relevant. You can check out that article over on the website. Well, thank you very much for watching ESPN on YouTube. For more sports highlights and analysis, be sure to download the ESPN app. And for live streaming, premium content, and let's not forget as well, ESPN FC 7 days a week. Subscribe to ESPN+.